You don't need more leads, you need clarity. Clarity on where your business can grow the most, the fastest, and at the highest margin. That's what a real go-to-market system delivers. It's not about volume anymore. It's about alignment, focus, and making sure every team, marketing, sales, and customer success is executing towards the same outcome. That's how CEOs scale with confidence. That's a quote from Sangram Vajre and a sneak peek at today's episode. Welcome to Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast. I'm your host, Kerry Curran, revenue growth expert, industry analyst, and relentless advocate for turning marketing into a revenue engine. Each episode, we bring you the strategies, insights, and conversations that help your revenue growth. So search for Revenue Boost in your favorite podcast directory and hit subscribe to stay ahead of the game. In the CEO Strategic Growth Edge, a go-to-market system that scales, I'm joined by best-selling author and GTM expert Sangram Vajre to discuss why go-to-market isn't a marketing tactic. It's a CEO-level growth system. In this episode, you'll learn the 3 phases every business must navigate to scale, why alignment beats activity in every growth stage, how CEOs can drive clarity, trust, and margin-focused decisions across teams, and why AI is only a threat if you're still riding the demand gen horse. If you're a growth-minded CEO or exec, this episode gives you a roadmap and the mindset to scale faster, smarter, and stronger. Be sure to listen through to the end where Sangram shares 3 key tips, his ultimate advice for any leader ready to level up their go-to-market strategy. Let's go. So welcome, Sangram. Please introduce yourself and share a bit about your background and expertise.
Well, at the highest level, I feel like I have got an opportunity to be in the B2B space for the last 2 decades and had a front row seats of categories that has shaped pretty much how we think about go-to-market. So I ran marketing at Pardot. We got acquired by ExactTarget and Salesforce. That was a $2.7 billion acquisition. So that was a huge shift in mindset from going a $10 million company to a $10 billion company. And I learned a lot. Became a student pretty much of go-to-market, if you will. But that was the marketing automation space. And then launched a company called Terminus that has been acquired twice now. And along the way, I've written 3 books. I think the one book that you have and we're going to talk a lot about is Move, which has become a Wall Street Journal bestseller. And that has just created a lot of work for us. A lot of, I think I walked into writing this book, Kerry, quite frankly, thinking that I know go-to-market because I had 200 million plus exits. But I walked out of this process of writing a book, becoming a student of go-to-market because I learned so much about go-to-market because this forced me to talk to folks like Brian Halligan, who was the CEO of HubSpot, to PE and VC firm leaders who have seen 200 exits, not 3 like I did. And I think it just expanded my vision. And now I lead a company called Go-to-Market Partners. We are a research advisory firm, and we're just trying to get the word of go-to-market and who owns go-to-market and how do you run go-to-market at a transformational layer? How do you do that? That's the work we do. Our clients are CEOs and their executive teams mostly. So that's the focus that we have.
Excellent. Well, I'm very excited to dive in. I know I first saw you speak at Inbound last fall, and what really resonated with me so much was the going from just an ABM program to a really company-wide GTM program that included everything from the problem market fit all the way to customer success, loyalty, and retention, and really making marketing and that GTM the core of revenue growth.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to kind of dive in and share that framework and background.
Yeah. We, the framework, and by the way, for people if you've never attended Inbound, they should. It's been 8 years straight that I had the opportunity to speak at Inbound, and every year I try to come up with some new ideas and topics to engage. And each year they have me doing more and more, like from the the main stage thing to the workshop thing. I think, and you were probably part of
Yep.
the workshop thing, which was like 90 minutes. And
Yeah.
hopefully
It's
it wasn't
excellent.
boring and it was kind of fun and entertaining.
No.
So it
Well,
was
I'm a nerd about this stuff, so I loved it and was taking lots of notes, but
That was fun. That was fun. And the whole thing was around how you can build your entire go to market strategy on a
Mhm.
slide.
Yeah.
And if somebody's listening to this, they might say, well, there's no way. There's just so much complexity in it, so many details in it. And the point is, it's not about having everything to a point where it's so complete that you can't flex around it. But
Mhm.
the point is to make it clear so everybody can be aligned on it. So, for example, there are in the operating system that we have, and people can look at it. We write research on that one every Monday. It's called GTM Monday, and there are 175,000 people read it. So it's a very vibrant community that read our research. And the 8 pillars are around some of the most important questions. Kerry, I don't know if you would agree with me, but I feel like I've done a disservice for the last 2 decades by asking the wrong question. Right, like the wrong question is, where can you grow? Which
Mhm.
at surface sounds like a really smart and important question to ask, but that's the most foolish question I could ever ask. And I've been asking that for the last 2 decades of building these companies. The better question, and the book and everything revealed that, is where can you grow the most, the
Right.
fastest, the best, at the highest margin? Like those are the
Mhm.
actual business way of looking at it. And so this whole operating system is around these 8 questions that if every executive team can align on clearly, not certainly, but
Yeah.
clearly, then they can actually have clarity around what are they doing, where they're going, what's their ICP, what bets they're taking, which motions to go after. And it really, and I've done this now over 1,000 times, where we have done this with executives teams where we help them build their entire go to market strategy on a slide, and it's like a light bulb moment for them. Okay, I now know what bets we're making and how my team is aligned, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, because that's one of the hardest challenges across business strategy and growth is where to invest, where to lean in. So yeah, bring us through the questions and framework.
Yeah. So the first one is where can you grow the most. The second one is really the idea of where it's. Here's the one thing as I'm going through it. I'll give you maybe 3 or 4 so people can
Yeah.
get an idea around it. The second one is around what we call the market investment map. Market
Hmm.
investment map is for companies where you have more than one product,
Yeah.
or a product but more than one segment that you want to go
Hmm.
in. This is the least used but the most valued framework that companies should use. And I think if you might remember from the inbound talk, I used
Yeah.
HubSpot as an example because I was at inbound. I'm like, what better company to use than that?
Hmm.
And it's so interesting. It happened for my last company at Terminus. We acquired 5 companies in 8 years. So we had to learn that process. And the market investment map is about mapping your best segments to the best products so that creates the highest margin product.
Yeah.
So, Kerry,
Yeah.
one of the things we say to our customers is if your entire business focuses on pipeline and revenue, which again sounds the right thing to talk about and say, you're focused on the wrong things. Because
Right.
here's what happens. You might have seen on LinkedIn, somebody would say, hey, I actually generated $10 million pipeline. And a month later, they are laid off.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that and saying, you never read the writing on the wall, because
Yeah.
that pipeline didn't matter, because that pipeline might be overall pipeline. But if you looked at the
Hmm.
pipeline within the ICP that your client really needs to close deals faster, to retain them, to expand them, then
Yeah.
maybe it's only 500,000.
Right.
Therefore you're not closing more, therefore you're not retaining more, and therefore you lost your job. So there
Yeah.
is a understanding of business sense around it. One of the things we talk about is it's not understanding the marketing the business, which is your list of skills that we all develop over a period of time, like demand gen or content marketing or design. And somebody might be listening and they might be really good at that. Those are, you just learn how to market the business.
Yeah.
But more important skill to learn is the business of marketing, where you
Hmm.
actually understand how the financials work, where you can drive the business forward and say, hey, we created 10 million pipeline, but only 500,000 is in our ICP. It's not going to create sales, and it's not going to create gross margin that we need as a business. It seems like the business is in a tough spot. That EQ, IQ level is what I think leaders need to have. So the go to market operating system, those are some of the areas that it really goes deep in.
Hmm. And I love the alignment with the ICP, and I'm sure you'll get deeper there. But I know you'd also talk about getting rid of MQLs because
Yeah.
it's really getting closer to, again, the ICP and who's going to drive that revenue.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like John Miller, a good friend of mine who was a co-founder of Marketo. He's been writing about it, and I was the CMO of Pardot, and then we built the ABM companies. I built Terminus, he built Engagio, which is now part of Demandbase, and we both for the last 2 decades have been evangelizing this idea of efficient marketing machines, and now we are coming back full circle on it. Is like, well, that made sense in a growth at all cost era, but in an
Mm-hmm.
efficient growth era, that actually you can't measure everything. You can't
Right.
know all this thing. There is the dark funnel is a real thing. AI can expedite your output and throughput as an organization. So you have to go back to the basics, the first principles.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you customers want to grow? And where do you want to go? Like, for example, yesterday I was doing this talk around this idea that I shared was, and they were all like, well, AI is going to take our jobs. And there was a lot of executives talking through it, and middle managers. And I'm like, it absolutely will. And it should, because think about this. Many years ago, when we were, let's say we had horses, and I wrote about this thing a few days ago about that. If imagine you were like the best horseman out there, and you had saddles and you had barns, and you have been taking care of thousands of horses, and now you've built an empire around that thing, and now you have generational wealth created as a result of it, and you are now a process. You're amazing. And then Henry Ford shows up with four wheels, and he's like,
Right.
you don't need horses anymore, and you're like, oh, I just lost my job. Yeah, you should, because you got infatuated with a horse, as
Yeah.
opposed
Yeah.
to getting infatuated with your customers' needs, which is they want to go from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
Horses did that. So that was great. It's better than walking. But
Yeah.
then cars are going to do that faster. And then trains and airplanes are going to do even more faster. So it's just a standard way of how business works. So if you can get infatuated with your customer needs, like what
Yeah.
do they want, which is better, cheaper, faster,
Yeah.
then you will always be excited about innovation as opposed to be afraid of it. So yes, AI will absolutely take away everyone who is on their horse, and they should get off their horses, because if you're in a demand gen horse, it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
dismantled. It's not gonna
Yeah.
stay there. If you're in a content marketer with AI, lots could change on that side. So get off your horse, go back to what your customer needs are, and then figure out how you drive your business forward.
Yeah. And so, talk a bit about kind of honing in on the ICP. I know in one of the sessions, you asked, who's your target audience? And of course, there's one guy in the front row that said everyone. And we're all like, haha, that's funny. But I still hear it all of the time. Like,
Yeah.
talk about how important that is to your point of knowing your customer and getting obsessed with what they need.
Yeah. Well, so in the first pillar of the go-to-market operating system is called TRM, which is total
Hmm.
relevant market. And we
Yeah.
introduced that in the book Move for the first time. And it's really a departure from TAM, which is
Yeah.
total addressable market. That what that guy over there when we did that conversation. It was
Yeah.
like epic. I'm like, thank you.
Everyone.
Yeah, thank you for you. I think he was a sales leader. So it was
Yeah.
even more funny in a room of marketers who are all like
Yeah.
going, oh my gosh, what do we do with this? But it's true, it's real,
Yeah.
and he was being honest about it, so I appreciated that.
Hmm.
And the reality is, we all have been conditioned to figure out how can we continue to focus on more and bigger market.
Right.
And that again makes sense when you have unlimited funds and you can raise money. It makes sense if you want to just, if the market is going to be huge and you just want to get into it, and have more people do outbound calls, the whole thing. As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago we did a session, and this individual said something profound that I made a note of, and I remember this now. He said the whole SDR
Yeah.
function is a feature bug in a VC model.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really interesting to think about,
It
because
is. Yeah.
that means that the whole model was created because you could get as many leads as possible, and then have
Hmm.
put 22-year-olds on making those calls, so you can get them to an AE who would have. So we created this thing because we had this Excel spreadsheet that
Yeah.
made sense to just drop in. If you get 1,000 leads, then we need 50 people calling, and like you just have this spreadsheet, and we'll close two
Yep.
deals,
We have a
and let's just put
0.02 conversion rate. We just
yeah,
need more calls.
no more calls.
Right.
Nobody really is trying to make it better
Right.
because you
Yeah.
have the funds to
Right.
do it. And now we're faced with the reality where
Hmm.
we have clients who are like 10, 15 million with five
Yeah.
people, and they're automating a lot of the things. People
Yeah.
don't read as many of those automated responses. My
Yep.
phone has a robocall thing, so I never ever pick up a phone unless it's from
Never.
my family or somebody I know.
Yep.
Emails automatically go that are not coming from individuals into this other bucket that you don't ever see, and people think that we're sending thousands of, so all these things like, and Kerry, can you imagine this? For example, Substack, the GTM Monday research note that I write on, and you've
Yep.
seen that, it's free. Like
Yeah.
175,000 people read it, and the research is free. But what's even more fascinating is that me sending that email is for free.
Yeah.
If I want to go back and look at it, is like how many people send it 10,000 emails, and each day they send those, or each month, whenever they send that, they spend thousands of dollars even today sending those emails.
Hmm.
I send it for free because these people have opted in to be on this part of the journey, and Substack
Right.
is a new way of sending emails. The market has
Right.
changed. Everything has
Yeah.
changed. Like people buying marketing automation or big tools for $100,000 is going to change dramatically, and fractionals and agencies are going to have a phenomenal time, because what
Yeah.
people really need and CEOs really need are people like you and frameworks like operating system to say,
Yeah.
hey, you know what to do. You and I have enough gray hair, so we know how to solve and have seen enough scars in it,
Yeah.
in the battle. And here's a new modern framework. Go implement, test it, look at outcomes, and look at this thing in a different point of view. That's what they need, and that's what
Yeah.
results come from.
Hey everyone, it's me, Kerry Curran. If you're a B2B company that sells to marketers, whether you're an agency, MarTech, or AdTech, and your revenue is either flattening, declining, or just not growing fast enough, I can help. I've spent my entire career selling, marketing, and servicing marketers, so I know firsthand the challenges they face, the buying decisions they make, and what actually moves the needle. The truth is, most marketing strategies aren't built for revenue growth, but mine are. As your fractional chief growth officer, I'll bring revenue-focused marketing strategies designed specifically for selling to marketers, deep expertise in agency, MarTech, and AdTech buying behaviors, modern go-to-market strategies that include everything from brand awareness to driving loyalty and retention, and a track record of doubling and even tripling revenue for B2B companies just like yours. So if you're tired of your stagnant results and you're ready to build a marketing engine that actually drives revenue, let's talk. Visit revenuebasedmarketing.com or connect with me on LinkedIn to schedule a consultation. Together, let's build a smarter, more profitable path forward. RBMA, Revenue-Based Marketing Advisors, we're revenue-based marketing that works. And you bring up such a valid point, and in so many of my conversations and what I see is that, right, it's been such a sales-led growth like strategy framework, to your point, over the past few years, and investments were going to sales, to more BDRs, more cold email, more tech stack partners that can send the emails.
Yeah.
And even, as I was starting out my consultancy, so many of the partners I would talk to, or my own prospects, would say, well, we just hired more salespeople. We want to see how that goes. And to your point, it's like getting the target audience, getting the framework together, and there's a place for the salespeople, of course, but if you don't have, as you've said, like the foundational, framework set up, you're going to be spinning your wheels on volume.
Yeah. And I think the bigger area that we're seeing, and part of our go-to-market operating system, is the differentiation point of view,
Yes. Yeah.
where everybody's doing the same thing. I'll give an
Yep.
example. Last week, I was looking at an email solution that automatically reads all of your email and drafts up a response to them. So all you have to do is read it and edit and see if you need to edit and send it. And I use Superhuman to keep up with my emails. And I'm like, interesting. I wonder if Superhuman will do that. 2 days later, Superhuman sends me an email saying that that's what they do now. And I was looking at that. I'm like, this company raised a lot of money, built that feature, got something, and now here is a Superhuman who already had like like adding like millions of users already. They just looked
Yeah.
at that feature, said, "Oh, we should have that feature." Boom, deployed it, because with AI, the product development is so much more faster, and that other company's out of business.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
the innovation, the product being your differentiation, has no longer is no longer the case, Gary. I
Yep.
feel
Yeah.
the differentiation is going to be how you tell your story, how quickly can you grab attention, how much can you build a community around you and keep them. That becomes your moat. All those things, those first principles, are going to be
Right.
way more important than product, because product is, quite frankly, table stakes.
Right, right. And so connecting that to your marketing strategy, your communication, your messaging, it also tees up your salespeople to make it easier for them to shorten their sales cycle and close more. Because by the time they get on the phone, your all of your marketing has already educated your audience on what it is you're doing. To your point, your differentiation.
Yeah.
So yeah, so talk a bit more about kind of the stages and the important things that companies need to keep in mind with your go to market framework.
So one of the things we mentioned in the book, and we go really deep in our operating system, is this 3P format around problem
Hmm.
market fit, product market fit, and platform market fit. We believe these are really the three stages of the business. I obviously experienced that at Pardot with Salesforce, and then Terminus through the acquisitions. Like, I think I lived through that. And if you remember, I always talked about the squiggly line, because
Yep.
it's not just up. No company is up and to the right. If you look at daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly insights, there is a dip in it. It'll just like a
Yep.
stock market chart would show you. And so there's a squiggly line that shows that you can go from problem to product, but you will experience most likely a dip, and that's normal and natural. And same thing when you go from product to platform, you'll experience a dip, and those dips indicates what we call the valleys of death. There are companies who overcome, then cross that chasm, and some don't. And
Yep.
the reason some would do that and some won't is because they are either at that point and they have figured out, oh, I could market now and I can sell, but I cannot deliver, and they have to
Right.
fix that particular part of the motion. Or maybe they could market, they could sell, they could deliver, but they cannot renew. Then they have to fix that part of the equation. Those That becomes the great valley of death. Or if they could do market, sell, deliver, even renew, but can expand, then they have to fix that part of the lever. And those things are, Kerry, it's so hard, because
Hmm.
you could be, since I've gone through 5, 10, 15, all the way to 100, I've seen many times these values of death will come and go
Yep.
every 5-10 million. It almost feels like you got it and you actually don't, because everything else has to change alongside. I'll never forget this. There's a company that I was on a board of at that time. It's no longer, unfortunate. It didn't make through, but the CEO was really, really upset because they did not get the valuation they wanted, and they were about 20 million in revenue. And there was another company who had only 5 million in revenue in the same exact space, same exact dollar amount, and their valuation was half a billion. And the CEO is like, I don't understand. I'm 20 million. Like, how can I not get valuation even close to the company that's 5 million? And the difference is, in 20 million, they were doing a lot of customization that led them to
Mm-hmm.
stay in problem market fit. They were not
Yep.
yet product market fit. Whereas the $5 million company, they were able to get into product market fit very quickly. So they did not have that much operational costs to run the business. So the valuation was quadrupled compared to that one. And their NRR was about 100 and 120%. And if you read some of my research, I'm all in on NRR being your number one
Yep.
metric, because if you can get NRR over 120%, you will literally double your revenue without adding a single new customer in 3.8 years, much less 5 years, but 3.8 years. So those things are really what should drive an executive team. That's
Hmm.
why we say that the CEO owns go to market, because all of
Yeah.
our research has shown that if you don't have a CEO who owns go to market, you are going to have a really hard time growing your business.
Well, and that it makes so much sense because everything you're talking about, while there are functionalities of marketing, but it's business strategy and it needs to be top down. It needs to be the North Star that the entire company is paddling towards. And I've been in organizations where that's not been the case. And so I know the leadership has to have the knowledge and strategic awareness to understand those pivots that you just
Yeah.
talked about. And when you hit one of those valleys of death, what do you need to do to kind of get yourself to the next one? So talk about, I know it's always a challenge though to bring in new frameworks to
Mhm.
organization, and that change management that comes with it. So as you're out there evangelizing how important it is that the CEO owns this go to market strategy, like kind of what are the key educational points that you're getting that's resonating with the CEOs to convince them of that, and kind of how are you helping lead that movement?
Yeah, like well, first of all, the CEO loves it because the
Good.
CEOs who get it, they love it. The people who have trouble with our actual CMOs or CROs,
Yep.
or because they feel like they should be owning go to market, and in reality they cannot,
But
because
their input is important.
their input is massively important. They
Yeah.
should be a big part of the process. We, all of our advisory work, Kerry,
Yeah.
we mandate two things. Number one, the CEO has to be in the room. We wouldn't do an engagement without that. And number two, your executive team should be part of it. We wouldn't
Yeah.
do one-on-one coaching because we believe
Yep.
business transformation happens in teams.
Yep.
People get
Agreed.
it wrong. They think that, well, ICP marketing, go to ICP. Oh, we got to do pipeline acceleration. Oh, sales team, figure out what your deal, maybe figure out the pricing or anything around it. Oh,
Yep.
we have a retention issue, fire the CS team, like maybe that will fix it, right? So we
Yep.
keep fixing in departments as opposed
Right.
to a process and a team. So the
Mm-hmm.
CEO is by far the most incented person in the room to bring
Yep.
clarity, alignment, and trust, the cap
Mm-hmm.
framework that we have as part of our go to market operating system, because they are the one who said, man, if the team is not working together, if we don't get this right, they are the one who are in all these one-on-one meetings and killing themselves. The challenge is, Gary, most CEOs don't know what it means to own go to market. It almost feels
Right.
overwhelming to them. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where we would come in and help them think through, like, no, no, owning means, it does not mean running go to
Right.
market. Owning means you are, anyway, you like it or not, you want it or not, you're actually owning it. By not
Yep.
making a decision, you're owning a non-decision for your business that's costing
Yep.
you money. So owning means that you actually have to be the ones orchestrating these three things: clarity, alignment, and trust. Every single meeting that you're doing, that's all your goal is. That's what go to market ownership really is. And it
Mm-hmm.
is your job to make sure when you decide as an ICP, as a team, the marketing feels excited about that. The sales feel like, I'm going to follow up on these because these will be the right kind of leads that the market is going to
Yep.
give. The CS team should feel excited about the fact that, okay, they're not going to give me crappy customers to work with.
Right.
They're going to give me the one that actually have high gross margin, going back to the business metrics.
Mm-hmm.
That process, there's nobody else can do that or be incented to look at it from a business perspective better than somebody like a CEO. So when they understand that, oh, this is going to just make my job easier, better, and make my team burn less calories and have less politics and infighting about it, they're all over it because it's the
Yep.
best thing they could do.
Yep. And the CFO is incredibly important as well, from the budget, holding the purse strings and understanding where the investment is supposed to go as well.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, we talk about in the book, as well as a lot of the research we do, is that I think the RevOps person,
Yep.
especially as you go from product market fit to platform, if you're in that stage where you have
Mm-hmm.
multi-product, multi-segment, multi-geo centric initiatives around go to market, or if you're using more than one go to market motions, like we have a research
Yep.
that shows you could have six different go to market motions, or when you get to platform market fit specifically, in those cases the RevOps person, who typically either reports into the CEO or the CFO, becomes the right
Mm-hmm.
hand person for the CEO. I
Yep.
almost say they're the second most important person in the company from a strategy perspective, because they gotta be able to look at everything and say, oh, we don't need to spend more money on marketing. We need to spend more money on sales. Marketing leader is probably not going to say that. Sales leader would not say that. So you need somebody who could
Right.
look at it like where the problem is and where we should focus on.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes so much sense. And are there kind of other areas of just maybe going below the executive team that helps educate the company from that change management perspective to gain that buy-in? Because
Well,
it's really a company-wide change.
yeah, you talked about ABM earlier, and
Yep.
having written a few books on ABM and being part of Terminus and seeing
Yep.
thousands of companies get transformed We have over 70,000 students who have gone through our courses now. So
Yeah.
I talk and hear a lot and I love getting feedback. What's interesting about ABM has been that it has been great for bringing sales and marketing together, but
Yeah.
it hasn't changed. It's not about changing company go to market strategy. Go
Hmm.
to market is really a company strategy, a business
Yeah.
strategy. So it
Hmm.
has to bring everybody together beyond marketing and sales. Like you
Yeah.
said, the CS, the product, the CFO, or RevOps, like those roles together. Where I see a lot of times companies fail, Kerry, is just myopically looking at go to market as a product launch or
Right.
or sales initiative, or even like a small like a new market launch or segmentation. It's very
Hmm.
myopic in many ways they look at it, and
Yeah.
companies who do that, they end up just burning a lot of cash, like
Yeah.
lot of cash.
Hmm.
So at the layer below the executive team, I think other folks, it's hard because go to market is such a business strategy that it
Yeah.
actually does happen at the leadership level. An
Hmm.
SDR, an AE, or a director of marketing, or typically does not have a whole lot of incentive or understanding of that business logic. So you
Right.
better get used to it and better learn about it. And that's why, we did the operating system certification. Like, we
Yeah.
have hundreds of folks that have gone through that certification now. And I know you have done that as well,
Hmm.
and it's awesome. So now people are taking some of those frameworks and going into their executive meetings and saying, hey, let's go through the 15 go to market problems and let's see what we got, or the 3 Ps, where do we think we are, or the assessments that include. So it's pretty cool.
Hmm. Yeah. No, and it's extremely valuable, and I love that as a kind of tool to get the company-wide buy-in and really educate all of the stakeholders, the people kind of that are managing the actions as well. So you've shared so many great recommendations, frameworks. So for the people who are listening, what is kind of the first step to get started? Like, what's your recommendation for someone who's thinking, okay, I love all this. I need to kind of start shifting my organization.
Well, first, I think they have to really understand the definition of go to market. That it is a transformational process.
Hmm.
It's not one and done. It's not where you go and do an offsite and put it on a whiteboard and say this is where we're going. It's not a
Yep.
pirate oriented thing. It is literally a daily iterative thing around go to market.
Hmm.
So it's a transformational process. First, you have to really, really understand that. The second step is like the CEO has to be fully bought in that they own it. If they don't own it, then go to market will run them and overwhelm them. And that's why
Hmm.
if somebody's a CEO right now and they're overwhelmed, that's because they're not owning go to market. They're running it, they're not owning it. So they need to get behind it. And number three is that the business transformation happens in teams. So if you do this by yourself, like let's say you're a marketer and trying to create go to market strategy by yourself, you're
Yeah.
going to fail. The best go to
Hmm.
market strategies never see the light out there because the team is not behind it, and you'd rather be more aligned than be right,
Yeah.
is how go to market really truly works. So if you can get the executives aligned on it, if the CEO can own it, how the go to market, and if everybody can understand it's a process, which means you have to be in it, I think those are the first, second, and third step around it.
Excellent. I love this so much. Thank you. Now, how can people find you and learn more about the GTM Partners certification and your book?
Yeah, I mean, they can go to gtmpartners.com, get their certification. There are thousands of folks who are doing it. We love that. We continue to add new things to it. We're about to launch Go to Market University to add more courses to it. We are creating a Move Book Companion because a lot of people we're selling more books now than we did 3 years ago, which is crazy.
Amazing.
So we're
Yeah.
starting to do that. And then the GTM Monday, which is our research that 175,000 people read every week. So we want to just be out there creating new frameworks and looking at what's possible. And things are changing so fast, Gary, in the
Yeah.
go-to-market world, just like AI has been talked about, but also that. But the first principles are still the same.
Yeah.
So frameworks are so important. It's probably more important now than ever before to have a thoughtful conversation. You cannot ask ChatGPT to say, give me my go-to-market strategy and say that, okay, that's what it is. It will give you a beautifully well laid out state-of-the-art strategy that has nothing to do with how you actually will make money. So you have to use frameworks, bring team transformation as a core part of it, look at it as a process, and just be part of it. And I write about this every day on LinkedIn, so they can follow me over there too.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Again, this has been a great conversation, and I highly recommend the book and the training, the certification to everyone. So we'll have all the details in the show notes as well. But thank you, Sangram, for joining us today.
Kerry, you're a fantastic host. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in to Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast. I hope today's conversation sparks some new ideas and challenge the way you think about how your organization is approaching your go-to-market and revenue growth strategy. If you're serious about turning marketing into a true revenue driver, this is just the beginning. We've got more insightful conversations, expert guests, and actionable strategies coming your way. So search for us in your favorite podcast directory and hit subscribe. And hey, if this episode gave you value, please share it with a colleague or leave a quick review. It helps more revenue-minded leaders like you find our show. Until next time, I'm Kerry Curran, helping you connect marketing to growth, one episode at a time. We'll see you soon.